is it the match of the week? It's also a rematch from MSI Finals. It's BLG up against JDG. And Nymeara, you tweeted it out earlier today. JDG have won this matchup a lot. They have won the last, 5, 6 times the two teams met?
In 2023, they have faced off in regular split spring, in playoffs twice in spring, in MSI twice, including finals of both spring and MSI. This is the 6th time of facing each other this year. BLG looking to upset the trend.
See if they can as we head straight into game. No breaks today. We are full steam ahead on the accelerator as it's BLG and JDG. And I will say, the difference between here and MSI Finals, I feel like going into MSI Finals, most people were believing that JDG would be a heavy favorite. I was fully drinking the Kool-Aid for BLG going into the series, but I think JDG were understandably the favorite in that one and have been every time these guys have met. However, JDG so far this split, they've not necessarily been playing that same like perfect League of Legends that we saw during MSI, and I feel like this is my speculation here, but I feel like JDG have come back from MSI and said, look, take it easy for the first couple of weeks. You've got a big grind ahead of you. We've got to get through playoffs. We've got to get through Worlds as well. There's a lot of months of League of Legends ahead. I feel like perhaps having a slow start maybe is the way forward for JDG in terms of the bigger picture of the year.
I completely agree. I think this is probably the one time we have seen BLG come into this series not as heavy underdogs. They are currently undefeated. Tabe was speaking in one of their very first series of summer as well, and really praising his players, saying, look, we chose not to take a break after MSI, get to grips with the new meta, start practicing hard. The summer split, because of the Asian games, is going to be slightly more condensed, very more condensed, let's be honest, and they've done very well with it. Got the same level 1 in bot side we saw in the last series, though.
Yeah. Almost the same as On. Going to be on the Thresh this time, so that will change the matchup up slightly. Does mean that you have a little bit more protection for the Aphelios, but equally less significant engage. That said, On disagrees with me there. I feel like On always has very significant engage, trying to get the hook onto missing there, but the emotes come out on both sides. I feel like these two are probably the bot lane that have played against each other professionally the most out of anyone in the world. In terms of like professional games, it can't even be close, right?
Particularly for this year as well. They have played against each other so much. And
sorry, that's what I meant this year.
Yeah, I was like saying, of all time, I'm like, hang on a second. We've got players like, you know, Deft has played against everyone a million times. Uzi's played against everyone a million times. Someone like Aframu or Double has been around for a long time. As a reminder, I mean, we keep bringing this up. In spring, he was the youngest support in the LPL. In summer, it's only Feather who's come in for Rare Atom, which now dethrones him in that regard. And I would say, looking through spring playoffs, and then particularly at MSI, On is one of the very best supports in the world, and now he's got a chance to show it again.
Yeah, bad moment to say it as he gets ignited and flashed on by Ruler and taken down! Ruler finding first blood. The Zyra Khan comes out on top.
Just had to mention it. Our tag for summer is the power of youth. Not to be dissuaded, though. Ruler missing. They have veterancy and tenure take down the first kill of the game with that Zyra Khan, and it is Ruler's Zyra. Should we mention that again?
It's not a dissimilar story in the jungle either, as Shun versus Kanavi is very much veterancy versus a much newer player in that of Shun. We saw Rookie earlier on today. He was the mid laner alongside Shun on IG when Shun entered the league. Felt like Shun was kind of taken under Rookie's wing. And now, I mean, the amount that this player has grown over the course of the last couple of years is almost immeasurable. We'll grab that Scuttle Crab as Kanavi tries to contest it. Worth mentioning, we've got a Rek'Sai jungle. Like, we kind of brushed over the draft. Like, let's talk about this. I've not seen a Rek'Sai jungle in a long old time. We've seen a lot of people talking about Rek'Sai top on Twitter, but if I'm not mistaken, this is the first one in LPL.
No, I cast one. I think it was from IG. I think they played a Rek'Sai game in jungle. It didn't work out very well, so it wasn't the most memorable one, but it is starting to see some comeback into the meta. It's because of the buffs to Rek'Sai, because Paralysis Claw was removed from the game pretty much, or at least changed. Got some good buffs to their regular kit, especially their Q. Replay though, bot lane On doesn't quite cancel out that knockup. Would have saved a lot of damage, and would have potentially turned that 2v2. Not quite there on that one. So first kill going down there. But yes, the Rek'Sai going towards more of a bruiser. You can see the Conqueror. Because of Q changes, the borrowed Q gives a lot more healing because of the rage that you generate from it, and then, or fury rather. And also a bit more ability to do damage with your Q when you're unburrowed as well. Lower cooldown, a bit more damage across the board.
I will say, in that replay as well, the bottom lane, fantastic bit of play from Missing Ruler where abusing the level 3 spike, you always see people playing around the level 2 spike these days, but Elkanon not ready for the massive power spike that level 3 gives the Xayah Rakan. And fantastic little utilization there to get themselves the 2v2 kill. 369 have been in that tank matchup, but Bin has a little bit more ways to make things happen. Ruler with a cleanse straight off the bat and missing with a triple knock, but now a root as well. No way do they actually get a kill out of this. 2v3, it's Ruler and Missing dominating the bot lane.
I love this so much. Kanavi making his way towards the bot side as well. Remember, Rek'Sai has these odd gank paths, can go over that thick part of the wall. Instead, just going to be content with stealing away a Gromp for now, generating some Fury. Level 6 on Knight has Flash, and he's on his Annie, maybe one of the most impactful Annies in the world. Elk is in trouble.
Oh, on goes wide on the hook as well. Elk almost one shot as Tibbs will finish the job. It's practically a solo kill on under the tower, and Bin has to TP just to protect his support, but he's too late to save Elk.
Oh man, this is the 6th series we have seen between these two teams, and it is exactly the same script. BLG try and fight strength with strength. JDG, their bot lane, their skirmishing is so very, very strong, and JDG are hammering them over the head right now.
Oh no, Kanavi. The Wolf was on like 1 HP, just strolls in and autos it. Shun forced out of the jungle, and I love this from JDG. Like, straight off of the bat, full aggression, not giving BLG anything.
And that is going to be a real big sticking point now, because you look at the damage profile coming in from BLG, because, I mean, I'm going to imagine that Yagao is going to go towards the lower damage utility build from the Ahri. Because your Aphelios is behind, you are really relying on Bin to pull off some magnificent team fights to bring up your damage as a team. You're already so far behind in that AD carry role, and particularly with Ruler being the AD carry that's ahead, you expect JDG to walk into fights with significant advantages, which means that BLG need to, 1, find very good angles, and 2, stop Ruler from being able to have clean team fights.
And I have to say, I'm impressed by JDG so far in this one. We're only 7 minutes in, but I came in saying JDG haven't looked as clean as what you would maybe hope, what you would maybe expect from this team. You know, BLG, the only team currently undefeated, whereas JDG coming in today. And you just know this matchup is personal. Like, you have to wonder what's going on in the heads of the BLG players coming into a series like this when you've played so many times this year already, and it's gone kind of disastrously every single time. The first best of 5 being the best performance from BLG. It's been getting gradually worse since for them. They have got so much better as a team, but the thing is, you're still against JDG. You're still against so many incredible players. Lantern comes out. Ignite going to be used. It's the wards just a second too late. That's 150 gold they spent on trying to block that Lantern.
It's a lot of gold. Maybe they can stop some gold going over to BLG if they can dissuade them from going towards this Herald. It's a big ult missed from Knights.
Yeah, Tibbs goes wide, and Shun still going to be taken down here. The shield buys a second, but not enough. Yagao flashing away from the play has been all out. Rek'Sai goes underneath the ground, though, and pops out elsewhere in the fight. Knight still winning this one out. Has been stuck in a corner with Tibbers, and that ain't a cage match that you win. In the meantime, I believe there was a dive that happened onto Elk as well. On now in trouble as the Feathers come back. The Feathers storm to finish the job, missing or fall, but it just doesn't matter. Look at the CS that's dying to the tower. This is every AD carry's worst nightmare.
And it looks like the ward trick might have worked out this time. There's a couple randomly thrown under the turret. I'm going to imagine there wasn't the most successful Lantern underneath that tower. Ruler 3-0. He just doesn't miss a beat. Was one of our most impressive players in LPL Spring. Was one of the most impressive players at MSI. Hasn't missed a beat. What are we going to see? We're going to see the top side Herald. I hope we get to see a replay of that bot side. Knight misses out on that ultimate, but the thing when you're playing around these Heralds is that it's all about who has the best level 6 without items included. And the Ornn adds in so much value, especially when he just gets to walk down from top lane, doesn't need to be in the most perfect position. And it sets up JDG for so much success. Forces the ult early out of Bin, who can't do much. And when we go towards this bot side, this one's just straight 2v2. It's level 6 to level 5. Really nice stuff. And the Lantern just not able, it wasn't even going to save him even at that point. They warded out anyway. We saw what happened on this live afterwards. Cannon dies to turret, like 10 millions and casters as well. This is disastrous for the bot lane of BLG.
Missing slams the emote out as well. Elk will get a couple of plates, but look at this, 3 people here for JDG. It's an extra kill for Ruler, 4-0. Still got 25 CS lead to work with as well. It's 7-2 on the scoreboard, a 3,000 gold lead. And it just feels like JDG are winning everything. They're winning bot and top simultaneously during the Herald play. Now Drake online if they want to go for that. Certainly have the strength to go for it.
Credit to BLG. Every time they get absolutely slapped around by JDG, they do get up and they come back for another beating in this boxing match. Yeah. As you said, like the first best of 5 they had, it went to 5 games. And arguably they should have won that first best of 5 were it not for over-ambitious engage on a Camille Galio comp, which they couldn't quite work out. Didn't see them through to a victory at that point. They've not managed to find themselves a victory ever since. But they have kept coming back for more.
They
JDG,
certainly have.
There is actually something to that. Other teams would have been so demoralized by this kind of performance. BLG have to see how they come back in game number 2, because this one is already looking very, very difficult, given where all that gold is. It's right into the hands of the double carries of Knight and Ruler.
I'm telling you, the B in BLG stands for Balboa. That's what it stands for. Full Rocky here from BLG. It's not about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forwards. It's a fantastic quote, and I feel like it is BLG in a nutshell. But ultimately, even if you can get up after being hit, you are still 3k gold down. There's only so much you can get away with, really. Has been just happy to tank the tower while he gets his demolish proc. Just no respect given. And in a matchup with Cassante against Ornn, it's not that surprising. It's not exactly much kill threat for 369 here.
No, but if he gets enough demolish procs, he gets enough golden pocket. What isn't kill threat against the Ornn might be kill threat versus the rest of the team of JDG. He's pulling the ult out. Kanavi's here, though.
Kanavi over the wall. Blast cone available. He's just watching. He's a spectator. He's a voyeur. As Bin dashes out under the tower here, but here we go. Kanavi follows him. Doesn't matter where you go. The prey seeker found you, and the prey has been devoured.
So Bin, who was, let's be honest, looking like the candle kind of flickering in the wind from BLG, has died in that top side. Very importantly so for JDG. They're just shutting down any resistance left from BLG. Resistance is futile, it seems. BLG gathering up once again to try and match JDG on the map. Herald put down in this mid lane. Gold completely goes over to Kanavi, and honestly, you'd like that to go elsewhere, but at least taking a chunk out of that mid lane turret sets up maybe for a second Herald to take it down in its entirety. That will maybe force BLG to think more heavily about how easily they can give a second Herald over.
This plate's going down as well as Ruler looks for a 4th. Will get it, but gets rooted by the Graviton. Missing is here behind the play as well as On tries to start the fight off. Look at this double TPs. The solo lane is making hero plays here. Ruler's still surviving, somehow finally taken out. Bin gets the kill. Now the rest of JDG, can they escape or can they turn things around? Knight has Tibbers, has his stun. What can he find for himself? But he's charmed in. Has to turn golden as Ornn blows his horn and blows the game wide. Yagao burning away and will be taken down as Knight finds his kill. Elk, so many chakrams. It's 2 for 2 so far. And these two teams just will not let the bell ring.
You'd think that BLG have just landed themselves a haymaker, but JDG, they just wind up their own punch right after. BLG, they commit the teleports. Again, it's before 14 minutes. Sometimes that can catch you out, but JDG, they have themselves enough items now that particularly Knight does a lot more damage than expected. That stopwatch we'll see later on, really turning the back end of this fight. I thought this hook out of the tunnel would have been the start of the fight, which really BLG needed. As a standard, though, the solo lane is not quite able to cleanly kill off Ruler, which means that they can't focus back onto Kanavi and get a clean fight afterwards. Ruler buying enough time that there is a second part to this fight. knock-up lands from Bin, that's great, but the stopwatch, incredibly important after this point, denies the return of the Q2. Goes forward, knows he has the first item, Leandri's Spike. He goes down for the attempt, but the burn kills Yagao. Knight using the itemization he had at that moment very effectively.
Fantastic from Knight to turn it around, but shout out to BLG, because they are so far behind at 14 minutes. But you wouldn't believe it in that fight. They are so willing to go toe-to-toe with JDG. They don't just give up in a game, not ever. Bin in trouble here. Is 369 threatening, and Ruler coming in on the top side of the play, all out available, and he's going to need to use it some creative way. Just jump straight onto Ruler. Does half of Ruler's health, but Ruler does more.
Cross map coming in from JDG. It's cross map of JDG against JDG. It's not even like it's BLG making a play on the top side of the map. JDG really using their wallets to their full effect. Most of the time, it's the top lane which roams into the AD carries lane. Not going to be complete opposite on that one. Hook lands.
Oh.
Not sure they're going to get missing. I think they can, actually.
Yes, they certainly can. The CC chain is massive, and Elk gets a kill. What a play from On, who, not necessarily had the greatest game in terms of his deaths, but I feel like that's more a testament to JDG than it is a criticism of him. The Thresh looking clean today.
Particularly catching out a Rakan is a hard thing to do, especially when you've got the Merc Treads up as well. I was thinking that the CC wouldn't last long enough. Maybe someone could get in range for the Battle Dance to come through. Not the case, though. Knight now walking forward and looking to put out some damage onto Elk. Puts down the Tibbers as well. Look at the damage they can put down.
Oh, the Horn will not find his mark. And 369 actually flashes forwards for that. Elk forced to flash, will survive. Does get 50 gold. No, On steals away the Tibbers gold. He's like, look, it was my lantern that got you out of there. I get the bonus.
But JDG can see how much damage they have between all members of their team. Knight feels like his Annie does more damage than other Annies across the board. He's found himself some pretty important plays already. Mid lane out to turret, such an important objective to take in the early game as well. JDG 2 turrets to none as it stands. Yagao trying to push up towards that top side, and Yagao not really been able to impact the game in the way that he wants to either. Knight has been the one making the first plays, and Yagao will have to rack his brains for his own angles into fights.
And when you looked at MSI, I feel like Yagao was the player on BLG that a lot of people were criticizing his performances, And he was, when it came to the utility style, still able to have some impacts, but it felt like Knight really dominated this matchup across the course of spring. Yagao, though, has actually had a fantastic summer split so far, but the second that JDG enters that conversation again, suddenly he has a very quiet game for himself. Aside from the bottom lane play, I will say, trying to make things happen there, but caught out by Knight even in that one.
And it is the Pingjian mid-lane face-off friends from a young age of learning how to play League of Legends. Yagao was the player which made Knight play off-role in their team because he was the better mid-laner back then. And it did feel like in the LPL for a while, Knight was kind of choking a little bit against Yagao individually. He's shaken that curse well and truly now, though. BLG struggling to find their own results against JDG. He has gone for the Leandries, has Yagao, so a bit more damage against the front line. A Soul AP with less magic resist being built up by the enemy team means that he's going to be doing significant damage to the front line of that Rek'Sai and that Ornn, should he be able to sit and DPS them. Not sure JDG are going to let them sit and DPS them, though. That's going to be the big problem. And as you can see, JDG starting to really push in across the map, even with 369 caught under turret in his bot side. I don't think he's under any threat. He can probably just wave clear and walk away.
Yeah, he'll be okay. They decide to back away from this one. As you can see, heavy BLG presence on the bottom side, but 369 will be okay. He'll be fine. The recalls are going to come on through. He's on all. He'll be all right. I will say, I want to talk about how JDG are accelerating this game. Because when you look at the composition, like, you see this composition in another region, or you see this composition for most LPL teams, and you think, okay, a lot of scaling with the Ornn. You got the Xayah, which really, you want to get like 3 items before you're really, really popping off. Like, probably a slow game. No, JDG, front foot forward, getting a lead from the word go. But the second they have that gold lead, they acknowledge that, look, BLG have scaling on their side as well.
Well,
we are
spinning it up
stronger
again. Here
currently,
comes the flank
and
TP.
therefore we will fight. Knight coming in on the bottom side of the play. Actually goes for the Tibbers. On to On instead, and the Featherstorm finishes it. Double kill for Kanavi. Absolutely magnificent.
Knight dunks down on the player without the cleanse to bring to bear. No disengage to come through on, and Elk absolutely dunked on yet again. Yes, there's going to be an objective bounty claimed elsewhere on the board, but there's a
they're
second
gonna end the
Herald
game.
being put down into the mid lane. It's going to be an inhibitor coming in towards 20 minutes. JDG, they are completely accelerating out of control.
Are they going to end the game here? If they can find a pick, they might just do it. Herald will get a charge onto a Nexus tower here. Okay, not going to commit. Shun gets the smite. I was getting a little overexcited, but it looked like they were going to try, to be honest.
There's a teleport coming in towards bot side. This is just Yagao trying to claim objective bounties just before Baron comes up. You wouldn't be able to do this much later into the game because JDG, sure as heck, as soon as that objective spawns, BLG are going to have to be forced to go towards the top side of the map and make sure that Baron is not going to be taken for free. BLG, with the resets coming through from JDG, trying to get down some vision, trying to get something, but Ani's gone a little too far.
Has to flash away. Ruler, cleanse down is quite a big cooldown as well. You maybe take that as on. Like, Thresh, Flash, not the most impactful flash. Still good to have for the engagers, obviously, but this is a cleanse on Ruler. I think you're happy to take that trade. You've still got Yagao, you've still got Shun to find the initial engagers. Good charm onto 369 as Tier 1 will be taken down in the mid lane by BLG. This is what we're talking about. They just don't stop. They're so far behind in this game, but they will not relent. Finding windows against JDG after losing their mid inhib.
Yagao almost getting a charm onto Knight as well. Maybe could have led to something else because now the Baron is up. If BLG, even with this gold disadvantage, managed to take down a couple of members of JDG, we've seen stranger things happen in League of Legends, particularly in LPL in summer. BLG, amongst other teams, even if they're behind at the 20-minute mark, can find some miracles around that Baron. We're going to go right back towards the game-changing play, towards the Barret base push. Tibbers goes down right on top of the Thresh. The burn damage burning across the both of them serves up so much damage. Kanavi finishes off the both of them.
Absolutely beautiful. Like, presence of mind from Knight to go onto On instead of onto Elk. But then obviously the follow-up from Missing. Where is Elk going to go? He can either go towards Knight or towards On. And if you go towards On, you're going towards Missing. Absolutely beautiful setup there coming out from JDG. And now their third Drake has spawned onto the map. And I'm not saying the third Drake, I'm saying their third Drake, because there is no universe where BLG can contest this one. That'll be Soul Point, and an Infernal Soul Point against Annie as well. Like, that is terrifying. And look at this. They've actually upgraded Knight's items before going for Rulers.
It's adding insult into injury, because if On doesn't have Flash, the person who's going to kill him is likely going to be Knight. We saw what happened in that last replay. This kind of, it splits the eggs between a couple of different baskets, because now Knight with the upgraded Liandry is going to be hitting even harder. BLG,
yeah,
when they position aggressively for the picks onto someone like Ruler who still doesn't have cleanse, there's a chance that Knight completely knocks him for 6.
I mean, we normally talk about AD carries being the ones that have to shred through the tanks, but with the way this game has gone so far, I feel like Knight is the one that would have to deal with Bin with the current inventories. That said, the Kraken Slayer is there. I'm obviously jesting, but Baron up on the cards here. Deciding to pull away from the play around the bottom inhib. They're just going to start this one off. They're going to call the bluff of BLG. What have you got in the tank, BLG?
Yeah, they're trying to make sure they don't get caught into a flank. Missing has Hex Flash, using it to buy a little bit more space. Has Ult and Ignite, though. BLG, they're funneling in.
There's vision in the pit. Shun's going to walk in. They're 50-50ing it, but they win those. And Knight has found Elk. Jumps onto the back line. Elk forced out of the play, but that means it's a favored fight for JDG. All out onto Ruler, but the knockup's coming through. No, Bin in a 1v3 finds a solo kill onto Ruler. They got the Baron, but now they're being chased down. Yagao low on HP. It's a double kill for Bin as Knight is taken out, and a TP. The advanced Hex Flash TP to go just a short distance and try and find the fight. 369 uses the Horn. It's onto Bin. It's not enough, but a fight win for BLG.
Bin finally gets a broken fight to do something in. 5-2 on the Cassante, which is 100% pick ban presence in the LPL. Buys BLG just a little bit of life.
Gigabin online. They're going to take a tower in the top side. Another bounty going their way. The supers are hitting the base, though. They've got to reset.
At least in mid lane, super minions will not kill a Nexus turret on its own. Both turrets will be able to focus down on those super minions as they trundle up towards those turrets. But make no mistake, JDG still walk away with the Baron and with the ability to reset and take a huge chunk out of the rest of the remaining towers on the map. This was dangerous, though, from JDG. Now, they walked up, they did commit towards that 50-50, Knight was very close to one-shotting Elk. Tries to go for the a bit of a greedy three-man Tibbers. Misses everyone with the stun. Means that the fight is in question. The bot side of the fight gets a little bit too even for JDG to win that one out. Means that Elk can walk up and do a bit more damage than perhaps there was respected for from JDG. Bin, though, on the other side, because of that, also gets to take his split fight.
I love that TP from Bin as well. It's not that far. That's why I call it the advanced hex flash, right? It's just a very, very slow flash that goes just a bit further, trying to flank during the fight, trying to find more, because they know that they find a couple more kills there. They can maybe fight for an inhib of their own. And that would be a huge turnaround moment. But JDG, a bit of a mistake there, it has to be said. Going for the 50-50 on the Baron, totally unnecessary.
And the fact that BLG have the presence of mind, even when they've been slapped so hard in this first game, to look for that play, again, it goes to show how well these teams fight together, how well these teams know each other and the mistakes which they can and will make. BLG, they're still very far behind in this game, but they are not without means to punish.
I'm getting to the point where, you know, there's the modern classic of the LPL is top esports JDG. BLG, they're doing their best to contend with that, because these games every single time are just quality.
Are you sure it's not just Knight versus Yagao and their teams?
Well,
I think the
yeah,
takes
maybe.
precedent over this.
You could take the Yagao out of JDG, or you could take the top esports out of Knight. I don't know. It doesn't really work because they're on the wrong. If it was Knight joining BLG, it would have worked better, I think. But either way, absolutely phenomenal series. This is like the matchup of the year. There's no doubt about it for me. I mean, I don't think that's that controversial. It was the bloody MSI
well, that's
final,
a bit of a setup, low-hanging fruit. But BLG, as it comes back to it, they're trying to make the most of this matchup, pushing again into this mid lane 369.
Lands is here we go. Luma onto the back line. Big engage with the Infernum across the team. Look at the feathers, though! Ruler steps up. It's kills across the team as Yagao just about gets out with his life. But bow down, not just a Ruler, an Emperor in the bottom lane. Shreds the team of BLG. And now the final march can begin. Kanavi looking for more as a hook comes out from On. Charm slightly wide. Yagao can't really find anything more.
Oh, not quite yet. And even with 3 members dead, JDG can't end the game. They are going to get themselves the Infernal Soul, which is, again, about as good for the game as it can get. JDG find themselves a solid front-to-back team fight. The people who are meant to be tanking, tank up the damage. The people who are meant to be dealing the damage do way too much for BLG to hold on to. At least BLG will get themselves one last fight in this game. It's going to be even harder than the last one. But what they might need to angle for, again, is really just Bin finding a way onto the backline. If it is a solid front-to-back, you see what just happens here.
Certainly do. The JDG with Infernal Soul on top of everything else. They are going to be they look indomitable. I don't know how you fight against this team when Baron spawns again. Let's take another look at quite how this all kicked off, because BLG looked like they wanted it.
It's missing. Missing gets right onto the backline, and while On has a lantern, has the ability to keep someone safe, you can't keep everyone safe. And you can't keep everyone safe against these feathers either. Move people out of the way just the one time. Elk gets no platform to fight on. Bin gets no platform to fight from. And as soon as this becomes any semblance of an even fight, JDG run away with it.
Like 369 with the triple knockup, and instantly Ruler is there. You see the feathers not just flying forwards, but backwards as well, using the Q and the autos after the E to get the bonus pullbacks. Fantastic stuff from Ruler. And just shredding the team of BLG, playing right into the hands of JDG. They love a front to back. They love a 5v5. Shun
they're split.
Loves a pick onto Missing. The charm is there. And it's a moment for BLG. Can they get out? Rulers here. 369 wants to continue the fight. Has been the target, but he buffers a lot of the CC. Shield comes out. They can't quite finish him. He's so damn tanky. The shield is there, but not enough. And now Yagao on the back line finds Knight, but in the meantime, Elk's been caught out. They're hunting for Moose. And boy, have they found a big and double kill for Ruler. Surely that's the end.
Elk has made so many people roadkill over 2023, but he's the one hit by the JDG bus this time. Shun gonna die under his turret. BLG gonna fall over in this first game. It was too quick, too early game for BLG to stand and fight.
Oh, 369 cancelled the... surely they could have ended here. They've got supers pushing down the mid lane. 20 seconds on Elk. I feel like if they'd gone for it, they maybe could have taking the game here, but going for the Baron instead, going for the safer play. It's 369. Might actually finish this solo kill off. Yagao has his flash available, but what does it matter? The Sunfire game! It's a barbecue!
Yagao, I'm not sure he put being cooked alive on his menu for today. Maybe that one wasn't on the bingo sheet, but BLG, they look for another play. JDG, so quick to respond. One of our previous series of the year, Knight kind of taunted Yagao and said, "You are just going to be stacks for my Magi's." He builds up another one, and in this fight gets himself up to 14 stacks. The first target has to be killed off very quickly from BLG. That's what we're starting to see in this game, really, right? Use so many cooldowns that if you're not up to your second round of basic cooldowns by the time that everyone arrives from JDG, the fight is just over with the amount of golden pockets.
Kind of got to feel bad for Bin, honestly. Like, he doesn't get... He's Cassante and he can't move. Like, if there's one champion that can move no matter what, it's Cassante. And even he can't escape from these fights. JDG put him in the meat grinder. And now 2 inhibs taken. Baron's still going for another 2 minutes as well. As in the meantime, Bin's been found by Kanavi. He's in a 2v1 as on. Just flattened under the ram of 369. We've got a Ram and an Elk in this game as Bin trying to save his jungler. Shun walking away with his life only just as Kanavi pulled back in. Bin almost in the 2v1. Ruler pulled in by the charm, but it was all a bait. He's got the cleanse, the Featherstorm out. And now Super's under the base. Elk and Yagao alone trying to defend as Elk nearly gets one shot on the fountain. JDG, not only do they win, they make it look good.
It is such a pleasure to watch a team like JDG dismantle high-level opponents, because you can see them do it against another team in the LPL and have the question, oh, but what would happen if it was against a better team? Maybe they'd manage to outfight them. And we thought that for a little bit of spring, where they would demolish lower tier